Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
And welcome to Blog to the Future. I'm really excited to be here today, and there's more of you here than I thought there would be, so that's real nice. And I'm going to try not to run out the door and run away. I was walking down the hall and I ran into Jeff Kirshner going the wrong way, and he's like, "Where are you going, man? It's almost time to present." I'm like, "I'm running away. This is scary stuff." It's not really. Anyway, so I'm here today to share with you my personal experience and insights from blogging for FamilyDealBlog.com, which is the official blog of the LaFontaine Automotive Group, and my personal blog, MarketPunch.com. And really, the story starts 1 year ago. It was October 1st, 2013, and that's when we took direct control of our company blog, FamilyDealBlog.com. And we had outsourced the entire blog for the 3 years prior. Hey, Robert. So for 3 years before we took it over, we set it and forget it. Right? We just let somebody run it, create the content. We paid $1,000 a month for it for 3 years and didn't pay a whole lot of attention to it. Shame on us. And when we took it over, that's when I finally realized, when it finally hit me, what a big mistake that was. Because I really saw what we could have been achieving these past 3 years. And we were able to do that now. So I don't want you guys to share my regrets. I want you to get on the right path, and so you can blog to the future as well. And that's really what I'm going to lay out today. I really see this first year that we've been doing this really as the end of the first chapter of a story, because this is an ongoing story. This isn't the end of the story. This is just kind of the end of chapter 1, and that's what I'm going to share with you, how we got to where we are today. And that way, come 2015, you got a nice runway between now and January 1st, where you can get prepared to launch your blog for your dealership, or relaunch it if you already have one. And so I'm going to start here. This is really the end of chapter 1. I want to share with you a kind of a fun result that happened right away. Or not right away, after a few months. So this is LaFontaine Hyundai, beautiful Dearborn, Michigan. You guys know where Dearborn is. No, it's just right outside Detroit. And I was working out of this building one day. There's a little office in there. And somebody walks through the door. I was greeted right away by a member of our concierge team. And the concierge says, "Well, welcome to LaFontaine Hyundai. What brings you in today?" And the gentleman says, "Well, I was reading this article about the 2015 Hyundai Genesis on your blog, and I thought I'd swing by and check it out." Now, have you guys ever had this happen to you where you're really not paying attention to what's going on? And I'm sitting there in the office typing away. 4 or 5 seconds later, blog. Somebody just said blog. Who the hell said blog? He said blog. What? So now I jump back in, fast forward in the conversation. I'm like, oh, and so I jump back in there. The conversation said, "Oh, that's great. We're so glad you found our content. We love it. Maybe you missed the part at the end. I'm sorry, but the 15 Genesis isn't here yet. Won't be here for another month." So talk about, going from the thrill of victory to the agony of defeat right there in a split second. It's like, oh, man. But then bless this man's heart. Bless his heart. Because he said, "Oh, yeah, I knew that. I was looking at your inventory. I figured since the 15s aren't here yet, you might want to make me a sweet deal on one of these 14s. And boom, cue the party music, mirror ball drops from the ceiling, laser lights start going, fog machine picking up. I'm doing my little happy dance. People go, "What the hell's Stum up to? Why is he dancing by himself? Self-high fives, the whole 9 yards. I'm just pumped up. I am so excited. Why am I excited? Because it works, right? We created original, unique content. We put it on our blog. Somebody walked through our door because of it and wanted to buy a car. Try not to swear. So heck yeah. Hallelujah. Heck yeah. There you go. Hallelujah. That was exciting. That was seeing it happen. That was seeing it work, right? And it's these little wins that make you want to go and do more, right? Because there's one thing I got to tell you, and I want to really make this clear here from the start. What I'm talking about today, I am talking about becoming a blogger, okay? I'm talking about telling the stories that happen in your dealership. I'm talking about telling the stories that happen in your community, the stories of your inventory. What I'm not talking about is installing random blog content on your website for SEO. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about telling the stories. And I say that because I want to make that distinction, because if there's one thing you need to know about blogging, and I speak from experience as a guy who runs 2 blogs, who had to stop his 3rd blog, which probably would have been my favorite blog, but I just didn't have time for it, which was my Star Wars blog. I had to give it up. It's not easy to do. And so here's the problem. How do you build a blog platform to drive quality and qualified traffic to your website and through your doors? I think we can all agree that creating original, unique content and putting it on your website is a great way to get more traffic, right? Can we all agree on that? Does anyone disagree? Okay, then get out. Get out. No, just kidding. No, seriously, get out. So that's the problem we're trying to solve today. How do we do that? And what I got to tell you is that blogging ain't easy, ladies and gentlemen. It's one of the most difficult things you can do. It takes more dedication, participation, and preparation than anything you're probably ever used to doing. But that's all right. I'm here to help you through that. I want to set you up for success. And so at the end of this, whatever this is I'm doing right now, at the end of my ramblings, I've got a link for you. It's an Ultimate Blogger resource pack, something I put together, I curated myself, that's going to give you everything you need to launch your blog or relaunch your blog for 2015. So you can write this stuff down, you can tweet it out. When you see my little tweeter logo up there, feel free to tweet it or not. You don't have to, but I appreciate it. So I hosted a survey on my personal blog, MarketPunch.com, leading up to this dealership blog survey. And I asked my fellow dealers, what are your challenges when it comes to blogging? Was one of the questions, 10 questions in total, 5-minute survey. 66% said their biggest challenges with blogging are limited time and resources. Anyone know what limited time and resources feels like? Yeah, I think we all do. We all do. And then they don't know how to measure their blog success. So we got about 40 people responded, which was a great sample. And 66% of them said, we're doing it, but I don't know what the hell we're doing. I'm not sure how we're going to measure it. So I'm going to speak directly to these two items today because these were the most popular answers. I figured if it was popular to those people, it'd be good for you as well. And so that's some of the things we're going to talk about. So a quick question, and I love audience participation. How many of you in this room have a blog for your dealership or the company you work for? Lots of hands right there. So those who didn't raise your hands, is it safe to assume that you don't have a blog? Anyone plan on launching a blog in the near future or blog content? Robert Carbon in the back. Thank you very much. Or you're just like us, you don't have a room anymore. Flight doesn't leave for 6 hours, so you're just kind of here chilling out. Yeah, I feel it. I feel it. So give me a why. I'm serious, give me a why. Why? Give me a why! You guys didn't have to do that. So nice, so nice. So why should your dealership have a blog? Thanks, Kelly. That's not something we're going to be talking about today. You're in this room, we're at DrivingSales, right? The most progressive automotive conference in the world. And we talked about, you guys all agree, you know the reason why to have a blog. By creating unique and relevant content, putting it on your website is a great way to gain more traffic. But I also got you covered. I also have a podcast. It's the MarketPunch podcast, episode 11. I just recorded it. Talks about the 6 reasons why your dealership needs to have a blog. It's a great complement to this presentation. And part of that Ultimate Blogger resource pack that I put together, it has that link to the podcast right in there. So you can listen to that on the flight home and kind of get up to speed on the why. But here's what I will share with you. In that same blog survey I talked about, 90% of those surveyed, this is their why. To build stronger connections with their customers, to differentiate themselves from the competition, and to establish their authority in the community. 3 great reasons why you want to have a blog for your dealership. And there's 3 other ones that I go into in the podcast. But I won't get a picture of that. I said no pictures. So how do we do it? How do we do it? This is something you have to be very intentional about, ladies and gentlemen. This is not something you just want to start doing. And I speak from experience as a guy who likes to just start doing things without really trying to back his way. I see someone just nudge somebody right there sitting. Yeah, okay. You don't just want to start doing it, you want to plan for it. And it all starts with your mission. You got to have a mission. You got to know why you're doing it. Okay? I just want to give you a couple of quick examples of mission statements, actual real-life mission statements. Mission statement for FamilyDealBlog.com. To delight our guests and our employees with unexpected and extraordinary value. It's one hell of a mission statement. Wrote itself. Every word means something. There's not a whole lot of fluff. It's one sentence. And I have a vision that goes with this mission. And you can do a vision for bonus points if you want. You don't have to. But the vision is when somebody lands on a piece of our content, they're like, wow, this was really good. And I imagine them looking down their phone or at their computer and going, wow, this is pretty cool. This is exactly what I needed at exactly the right time. Nice. And then they go, wait a second. Where am I? What the hell is a FamilyDealBlog.com? This is a car dealership? What? And then that intrigue draws them into the site. And then they start maybe looking around a little more. We start building that connection. Right? So I have a vision that goes along with my mission. Another mission statement. MarketPunch.com and personal blog to provide creative auto marketing insights that my peers and colleagues can use today. Right? It means something. Everything I produce has to meet this mission. If it doesn't meet this mission, I don't produce it. Same thing with FamilyDealBlog.com. If it doesn't meet that mission, it doesn't get published. Okay? It's very intentful. And after you have your mission, you got to know who you're writing for. Because, ladies and gentlemen, you're not writing for the whole world. You're not writing for, we're a dealership in Michigan. We're not writing for people in Ohio. Ooh, Ohio. We're not writing for people in Indiana. Hope there's no one from Ohio here. That would be awkward. So we're writing for a specific audience, right? And if you write your mission statement in a way, you'll name your audience in your mission statement, or a good part of it, right? Customers and employees, audience. Auto marketing, peers and colleagues, audience. And I take it a step further for FamilyDealBlog.com. So we got our customers. We got our employees. We've got people who live in the areas where our dealerships do business. We've got 20 franchises. We're in a bunch of different cities. We also, part of our audience, our area residents who need to shop for or service a vehicle. And that's our audience. Your audience might be similar to that. You might have a different audience depending on where you're located at. But it's a pretty solid bet to start with something like that. And this was taken from last year's DrivingSales. I don't know why they didn't do the relaxing chairs again this year. That was kind of fun. Okay, and something else to keep in mind, the narrower your blog audience, the more likely you are to drive conversion. Okay, you're not writing for the whole wide world. Okay, you're writing for your audience. And it's just like your email marketing, right? The more targeted you are, the better results you're going to get. Same thing with your content. If you're writing for real people, and remember this, you write for real people with real problems. You're not writing for search engines. You're not writing for algorithms. You're just trying to help people solve problems and have a conversation. And the narrower you are, the more specific you are to your audience, the more likely you are going to achieve success. Remember that slide, 66% said they didn't know how to manage, or not manage, measure their blog success? Well, you can't do that if you don't have goals. And I just want to kind of make this clear real quick. We're talking about mission statements, audiences, and now we're talking about goals. Have we talked about content creation yet? No, not one bit. We're getting there. It's coming. But the content creation, once again, doesn't matter if you're not set up for success. So you got to set goals. And so when I was trying to discover, okay, what should our goals be? I didn't want to go crazy, because if you go goal crazy, you might set yourself up to fail if you have too many goals. If you start to not meet your goals, it might discourage you. And I'm big into encouraging, not discouraging. So the first goal I set was a unique visitor goal for the blog content. And I picked out a number, 4,000. I wanted to be able to drive 4,000 unique visits directly to my blog content per month. How did I come up with 4,000? Pulled it straight out of my Google Analytics is what I did. Okay. That's exactly what I did. So we have about 20 core websites for our group. I've got a couple that get between 15,000 and 18,000 unique visits a month. I've got a couple that get 1,500 and 2,500 unique visits. But then I got this big chunk right in the middle that gets between 3,000 and 5,000 unique visitors a month. So right there, 4,000 is looking good. Then I reached out to the kids at Dadium and say, hey, well, what can you tell me about what you see from like the nationwide, the top-down view? And so the stat they sent to me, and this is fresh, this is just, they gave this to me 2 weeks ago, is that nationally the average dealership website received 3,800 unique visitors per month in 2014 year to date. 3,800 visitors. And now if you look at our little charty do here, first month we launched Family Deal Blog, just over 1,000 uniques, and then we kind of went on this little roller coaster. And it took us some time. It took us 7 months. Here we hit it for the first time over 4,000, and now we've been over 4,000 every single time. So we're driving as much traffic to our original unique blog content every single month that the average car dealership does. And think about this for a second. Wrap your mind around it. How much money do you spend on your dealership's website? Just to have it up each month can cost you close to $1,000, if not more. And you pay that month after month after month. How much money in advertising do you spend to drive people to your website, right? This content, these visits, I'm not going to say they're all new visits. What I am going to say is that they're earned visits, okay? So you're driving as much traffic to your blog content without spending that kind of money, without investing those kind of resources. And to me, that's pretty freaking cool, right? And I'm not going to say blogging is free. We've already talked about it. It takes a lot of time and resources, right? And time is money. And there are some small costs associated with hosting a blog and running a blog. But it's worth it. It's those little wins. When that guy walks through the door for the first time and you see him and you witness, it's like, I haven't read that article on your blog. You're going to do cartwheels. So 70%, another stat for you, don't know how many leads their blog content generates. Well, what? So there's people out there who are doing this. They know it's the right thing to do. And then when I ask them, well, great, love it. How many leads do you get? I don't know. And I don't want to say it's criminal, but to not know what's going on, right, it's a big opportunity. And once again, you can't figure out how many leads you're getting if you're not trying to measure them, if you don't have a goal, right? And for me, I'm a subscriber of the 1 lead a day goal, okay? One person to call you, one person, you like that graphic? I put a lot of time into that graphic.
I love it.
Yeah. I appreciate that, Anthony. I mean, this is detailed. This is detailed right here. So 1 lead a day, 1 phone call, 1 lead forward submission, or 1 person walking through your door. If you got 365 of those in a year that you earned with your content, pretty nice? It's pretty nice. And once again, with these goals, just like any good goal, right? You set yourself a quantifiable number to achieve and give yourself a time frame to achieve it by. You're not going to get there in the first month. So for both these goals I'm talking about, I set them for 6 months after we relaunched our blog. Gave myself a window, gave myself some runway, and we kind of missed it on the first one, right? We missed it by a month. It took us 7 months to get consistently, over the 4,000 unique visitors per month. Okay, now we can create some content, right? Now it's the fun time. Okay, so one of the things I love about driving sales, about the forums, Dealer Refresh, DrivingSales.com, Automotive Digital Marketing, about my own blog, MarketPunch.com, is I get to talk to a lot of people who do what I do, and I just love talking to you guys because we have the same experiences, we have the same challenges, the same problems. And a lot of people ask me about blogging. How do you do it? How can I do it? I see the value in it. And we start having this conversation we're just having here. You know, you can't just start doing it. You got to be intentional about it. You got to set yourself up to succeed. And everyone gets all excited. Yeah, 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 yeah. And then the one objection comes up every single time. Time. Well, it's not time. It's close. Oh. Yeah, that's great, Jason, but I'm not a writer, man. I can't write. And then I laugh because I'm not a writer either. I am a terrible writer, I say. No, I'm an average writer. No one's going to mistake me for Billy Shakespeare, okay? But that's the great part about a blog platform is you don't have to be a classically trained writer to write great content. You can start sentences with and. Read my blog, I do it all the time. You can start sentences with so. Do it all the time. It's a much more conversational medium where you can write just like you talk, and people, that's going to draw them in because now, what are you? You're a real person, right? You're one person talking to another person. You're not a company talking to an audience. You're a person talking to a person. So don't let that I'm not a writer get in your way. And if it's not going to be you that's writing, if it's going to be somebody else, don't let that get in their way. And this is one of those things that you can do where you can practice for real. This is not like, training somebody to take phone calls, right? You don't want to practice on the real customers. No, because that costs a lot of money. With blogging, you can practice. You can practice, write it, publish it, throw it out there. If you go back and look at the stuff I wrote 2 years ago, it's terrible. I want to go all George Lucas on myself, edit it, and make it look a lot shinier and a lot prettier than the original, but I don't. I leave it up there for historical reference or just to laugh at myself. And the great part is, when it comes to writing, content doesn't all have to be written. It can be all kinds of stuff. It can be articles, of course. It can be pictures. It can be videos. It can be slideshows, slide decks like this one. It can be all kinds of things. It can be podcasts. It can be books. I mean, all kinds of different things you can share on your blog that are going to wrap people in and bring people in. And who's going to write it? I'm blessed that I've got these two knuckleheads to write for me and with me. And these are great guys. And these are two people who worked for the company already. Okay, I didn't have to find these guys. They already worked with us. First one's Bobby Lundball. Bobby is a sales guy at my Nissan store. And he's a good sales guy. He sells 17 Nissans a month in the heart of right next door to where GM has its proving grounds. So he's a pretty good sales guy. Turns out he's also a writer. He approached me after we relaunched the blog. He's like, Jason, I love it. We got the blog now. Please let me write for you. And I'm like, yeah, no. I kind of got this. What do you know, crazy car sales guy, about writing? So anyway, I give him an assignment. He turns it in the next day. And I read it, and then I'm like picking my jaw up off the ground and attaching it back to my head here, because it turns out Bobby went to college to be a writer. I said, Bobby, this is beautiful. Words leaping off the page. I'm feeling emotion, color, sound, sights, the whole 9 yards. I'm like, tears come to my eye. Bobby, what the hell's going on, man? Why aren't you writing? And he laughs. Oh, Jason, there's no money in writing. Yes. There is money in car sales, though. And then I got Jeremy Sheldon, my digital marketing assistant, who is a terrible writer. Absolutely terrible writer when it comes to things he doesn't know about. But what Jeremy does know about is fantasy sports. Now, work with me here real quick. Jeremy is a fantasy degenerate. He won 3 fantasy baseball leagues. He's playing in 5 fantasy football leagues. He plays fantasy NASCAR, and I didn't even know that was a thing until he told me he did. But it's Google it, it's real. So I tried to get Jeremy to write for the blog, because this is one of the funniest guys you'll ever meet. Quick on the wit, real sharp, always has something funny to say. Like, he's going to be a beautiful writer. It's going to translate. Words are going to flow from his mouth to the paper. Not even close. So I took him off the blog, said, here, you can write more used car descriptions. Have fun. Okay. But it turns out he can write about fantasy sports because he's passionate about it. And so when I asked him to write a fantasy football column for the blog, he's like, yeah, I can do that. But he's like, how does this work? I mean, we're an automotive group. Why are we writing about fantasy football? I said, great question, Jeremy. That's actually the best question to ask right now. Let's hold it up to our what? To our mission statement. Okay, let's see if it works. Is it delightful. Heck yeah, it's delightful. He's creating original content. He's not just rehashing stuff from all the other fantasy blogs. He's writing original content. Guess what? Guess who plays fantasy football at our 900-person automotive group? 900 people in our automotive group. So we're writing for our employees.
Instead of selling cars.
Instead, Bob, General Manager, LaFontaine Cadillac Buick GMC. You might want to close your ears. No, yes. So a lot of us play fantasy football. So part of our audience, we're writing for our audience. We're delighting them. And you can bet, just by the sheer popularity of fantasy sports, we're writing for a lot of our customers too. Okay? So that's why that works. So these two guys help support me with content creation. And then we have a support team, and we have bosses, and we have owners that see the value in what we're doing that allow us to allocate our resources so we can do this. Okay? And that's really the important part too. We're not doing this off to the side, hoping nobody notices and questions it. This is coming from the top down, from the LaFontaines. They're all in on board, and it comes all the way down. If you don't have somebody to write for you, if you can't write yourself, if you don't have that time and resources, should you outsource your content? How are we doing on time? Oh my goodness, we got a book. Okay. Should you outsource your content? Well, if you remember the beginning of the story, what did I say? I said I was very regretful that for 3 years we outsourced our entire blog, right? So you would think I'd say no. But I will say it with a but. You can if you have to. But I would just caution you 2 things. If you hire somebody to write content for you, please, please, please make sure it's original. Okay? Don't do this, and I'm going to try to do this delicately. So I'm not trying to throw anyone under the bus. Okay? And I was debating whether or not to even do this. So if you hire somebody to write content, you have to make sure it's original, because you don't want this. I found this while I was putting together the presentation. I was on the CDJR blog, and I learned this little trick from Tim Martell at wikimotive.com. If you want to know if something's original or not, take a nice long sentence out of it, wrap it in quotes, throw it into the Google, and see what comes back. So here's the sentence I took. It's that time of year again. Summer is coming to an end. Parents have sent their dogs to get cleaned. I don't know what the rest of that was. This is kind of blurry. That's 174 results. 174 dealerships, and this part here, it says these are all 1 to 2 days old. So these people are all using the same web provider. And they all installed that exact same article on their website. So this brings it back to what I said in the beginning. I'm not talking about this, right? This is installing blog content. What I'm talking about is being a blogger, right? So don't do that. And the other thing I recommend, because we experimented with outsourcing content to fill a gap over the summer. And what I ended up doing, it's not that they were writing bad content. It was original. But what it was, remember how I said I'm a bad writer and I write like I talk? Well, these people were good writers and wrote like writers. Big, long walls of text, right? You know, just real dry, emotionless kind of thing. So I just ended up rewriting everything that they gave us. And that way I was able to put our voice on it, the voice of the dealership on it, and did it that way. So we did that for a couple months and we made it work. So if you have to fill a gap, make sure it's original, and you might want to just take what they give you, put your own twist on it, put your own spin on it, so you know what's going on from there. So now, we've got content, we're creating it. We know who we're writing for. We know what our audience is. We know what our mission is. Now we got to get people to see it, right? Excuse me. Just can't hit the publish button, cross your fingers, and hope somebody's going to run across it. You got to get in front of people. So, dealerships, companies, you guys have one thing that me as a personal blogger would have killed for to start my blog. An entrepreneur, anybody launching his platform needs one thing, and you guys have it. Anyone know what that is?
Audience.
Customers, audience, or an email database. Okay? You guys have a very large, I'm going to assume, people who bought cars from you, who service vehicles from you, and you're going to have most of those people's email address. And the good part is, most of them probably already like you, or they wouldn't have done business with you. So now, the number one way to get people to start seeing what you're doing and to bring them back to your website month after month after month with useful, original content is to let them know you published something useful and original. Send them an email. We do a monthly newsletter. We've been doing newsletters for 5 years. When we first started doing newsletters, we would send people to Newsweek. We'd send people to Automotive News. We would drive traffic to other people's websites because they had the content. Oh, this is a great article about the Buick. Let's send them over to Car and Driver. Screw that. Let's send them back to our website. And so now our newsletters consist of all original content that's derived from our blog content. It's our most popular thing we send via email. Close to 40% open rates, close to 20% click-through rates. Okay? We're being targeted, and we're bringing value to the conversation. And here's the surprising part. If you put on your blog or on your website an email sign-up form, and if you're creating useful and original content, people who aren't your customers are going to land on your blog, social share, somebody emails it to them, they see it in their Twitter stream, whatever. They're going to land on their blog, they're going to find it useful, and they're going to sign up to receive updates when you publish something new. It happens. It blew my mind. I knew I should have it up there because I had it up there on my personal blog, right? I need to get subscribers. When I launched MarketPunch.com, how many subscribers did I have? 0. Okay, I had 4. Sorry, I had 4. I had my wife, my mom, and my in-laws. I published my first article. I send it out to my email list. I shit you not, 2 people unsubscribed. And I didn't have the heart to go back and look to see who it was. But I have a pretty good idea who it was, and let's just say the Christmas presents haven't been so nice lately. Okay? So people will sign up to get your emails, to get your blog articles. I'm telling you, it will start happening and will blow your mind. It may not happen in droves, but it will happen enough. It will be one of those little victories that are going to make you want to keep on going. The other way to get eyeballs onto your stuff is through social media. And I really want to make a distinction here. Your blog, your website, that's your home base. That is where you want to create your content. Your social media networks, think of them as outposts. Think of them as relay stations. Places to distribute your content. I kick myself daily for all the original content that I created for our automotive group over the years and put it on Facebook and didn't have it somewhere else where it could be found by a much larger audience, right? Facebook and Google don't play the nicest in the world. You can write a real nice story about your technician who did something and put it on Facebook, and guess what? Somebody searches that technician's name, he's not going to find that Facebook article. You might send it out to the people that you have emails to. Oh, it goes to Facebook. Ugh, it's not going to Facebook, right? Build your content on your blog, on your website. Distribute it via social media. Okay? This distribution, relay, outposts. Because we've been living rent-free for a long time on the Facebook. Anyone get a little pissed off when Facebook cut organic reach down to nil? Anyone? You're like, WTF? Robbie? Yes? Yes? Yeah, I was pissed. We had a pretty good thing going. You get tons of likes, tons of engagement, and yes, ladies and gentlemen, people bought cars from us off Facebook. They did. It happened. But now we publish something to an audience of 2,000 people, and 12 people have seen this post. Ooh, it's the kind of how you feel about it, right? What happened? Well, we were living rent-free for 3 years, right? We didn't have to pay a dime. We were just using their platform, publish, boom, 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 like, feel good. Anyone else get feel real good when they see the likes start popping up? You're like, yeah, that was a good one. And the comments start pouring in, yes, we nailed it. Yeah, you don't feel that too much anymore. It's few and far between. Build your content on your blog, distribute it via social media. And then that way you're driving links back to your blog, right? You're driving social action, which is a big thing that Google likes to see, is they like to see the social interaction back to your blog. And then the third way to get more eyeballs on your content, and I put this in there, I don't even like this slide, I think the slide's dumb, is SEO. And I really want to change the name of SEO. And I was thinking this before last night in Rand's keynote. And after I heard Rand talk, I felt a lot better about what I was thinking, because I was worried that he was going to say something that totally destroyed everything I was talking about today. That would have sucked. That would have sucked. So I almost want to rename this OWP, Overall Web Presence, right? And I like to say whoop. That's kind of fun, right? It's better than steal whoop. Okay, Overall Web Presence. It builds up those pages on your domain, right? It builds up your authority with Google. And I'm about to get to two great examples to wrap up the conversation about how this is working on the search side, okay? If you're blogging because SEO, if that's your reason for blogging, you're missing the point, okay? Everyone here, who was at Rand's keynote last night? Okay, good, just about everybody. And he really was speaking to this in terms of the way Google indexes pages now. And how keyword matches, you don't need keyword matches. And I love that example he gave, where he's like, name, what's the movie with the guys in the time-traveling telephone booth? Well, what was the result? Number one result, IMDb, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Nowhere in that search query was Bill and Ted. Nowhere in that search query was Keanu Reeves, right? Or Alex Wright. I always remember the other guy's name, Alex Wright. Yeah, because Keanu gets all the love for that movie. So what you need to do is write for people. The number one rule of blogging is you write for people, not for robots. And I can't stress that enough. If you write for people who have real problems, and you're solving their problem, Google takes care of the rest. Now, I'm not suggesting if you're writing an article about the GM recall that you don't mention GM recall somewhere in the article, right? And you write some weird fantasy sci-fi piece that somehow relates back to the GM recall. That's not what I'm talking about. You still have to do a couple things. You might want to say GM recall a couple times. But you don't need to get locked up in keyword density. You don't need to get locked up in stuff and footers with all kinds of crazy jargon that nobody can read. Just write for real people with real problems. Okay, so Rand talked about this yesterday, and I swear to you, I promise I did not put this in there after the fact. I had to turn this presentation in weeks ago. This was in there from the start, so I didn't just, oh, Rand said this, I'm going to do this. He talked about intent matching, just what we talked about with Bill and Tess, right? And not keywords. These are 8 real-life search phrases that drove traffic to our blog. I'm sorry if that's kind of hard to read. So look at these real quick. Number 2, do I need to get my 10-year-old GM Saturn fixed if it's working? Who the hell searches for that? Luckily, Google saw that our blog had the intent match to that. If my Chevy Cobalt ignition switch was replaced, will the old key still work? I didn't write this article about the GM recall with these questions in mind. I was just trying to answer the questions that our customers were asking us via email. The customers were asking us, yeah, that's good, that's good. All right, good picture. You know, so look, how long does it take to get a 2014 Corvette Stingray? What's the definition of trade difference when purchasing an auto? In Michigan, when you trade a car and buy a new one, what do you pay sales tax on? These are all intent match searches that we had content for that Google's recognizing as one of the best answers to those questions. And the more content you produce that answers your customers' questions, the more traffic you're going to get. Because this is how people search today, guys. Call it semantic search, call it intent, matching, whatever it is. People are typing in full-blown questions. And think about this. If this whole voice talking to your phone thing ever takes off, this is what people are going to say. Right? Google, Google now. Hello, Google. Right? You're going to ask a question. You're not going to say GM recall, Detroit, Michigan. Oh, you're going to say, hey, man, I got this 2010 Cobalt. I need to get it fixed. What's the deal? Right? And you're going to get served an accurate result for that. Okay, so show me, don't tell me. Here's 2 real-life examples from FamilyDealBlog.com that I think are pretty impressive. And I want to share them with you and just make a couple quick observations. So the tip here is create content to answer the questions your customers are asking you about. And when I mean that, I mean how are they asking? Whether it's they're sitting in front of your salesperson, whether they're calling on the phone, whether they're talking to a service advisor, whether they're sending it in via a lead form. If they have a question and it keeps coming up, you might want to make a piece of content about that because it's not just your audience that's looking for that. So here it is. In Michigan, we're backwards. We're backwards. We are at 80% lease penetration market. Bobby knows what I'm talking about. Everybody leases their car, a lot of different reasons why. And they get these short-term 2-3 year leases, and what happens after a year and a half?
They want to get out.
They want out. Like, I'm bored.
Same here.
Right, I'm bored. Let's get something else. Yeah, lower my payment even. Yeah. Give me more, lower payment. And unfortunately, a lot of the Detroit manufacturers play to that. So every so often they do a lease pull ahead. Get you out of your lease 3 to 6 months early. No harm, no foul. Let's just get you into something new, right? And so when that happens, guess what happens? Phone calls skyrocket, right, Bob? Yep. Email leads come in. We put it on our website. Great source. Send out an email blast. Lease pull ahead's here. Hooray! And we just rake it in. We just start counting the money. Well, there's more people in our audience who aren't our customers who are also want to know about this. So we created this lease pull ahead FAQ. We answer your questions about lease pull ahead programs. Here's the numbers. Search result, lease pull ahead. Real simple, right? Lease pull ahead. It's typed into Google, incognito search, not signed in, no cookies, no nothing. About as pure as you can get with Google if there is such a thing. Number 1 organic result. We have 810 related searches happening in Michigan on this each month. This was published on March 26th, about 7 months ago. When I put this slide together, it was a month ago, so it's only up through September. This article's been viewed 3,351 times. There's a lead form in that article. We had 111 lead submissions from this article. And now here's what I love, and this talks about what Rand was talking about in domain authority. Number 1, authoritative answer, FamilyDealBlog.com. Who's underneath that? AOL.com. Who's underneath that? Edmunds.com. Who's underneath that? Today.com. Who's underneath that? Answers.com. It's pretty freaking cool because we've been being relevant to our audience. We're providing useful content, right? And Google is starting to recognize FamilyDealBlog.com as a source for trusted information. And we couldn't ask for anything more. Now this one's a little bit different. So a little content tip here for you. Repurpose any best car article that comes out there for your own use. Motor Trend, Car Driver, KDB. They come out with a list, say here's the best 10 cars for whatever. Find out if you have it. Write an article about it. drive people to your inventory for that vehicle. And back in July, do you guys remember this? The Insurance Institute for Highway Safety, they did this report, 55 safest used cars for teens. Anybody see that one? It was all over the place. And so I saw that. I'm like, well, let's check it out. Maybe there's something in here we can use. Because we got, 20 different franchises. We could probably write a real nice article about the cars that are in there. Well, I was looking through it. But some of these were like, there's some Mercedes, some Audis, some BMWs as the safest cars for teens. Well, I don't doubt that they're safe cars for teens, but who the heck's driving these things? I was driving an 86 Chrysler Baron with 100,000 miles on it when I was 16 years old. So that's where I was taking that from. So I looked in there and I found 12 cars that we had a lot of in our pre-owned inventory that were in that sweet spot, $15,000 to $18,000. So I created the article, I spun it off. 12 safest used cars for teens that won't break the bank. Right? Safe and affordable. Starts out, hey parents, you don't have to choose between safe car and affordability. We've got you covered. Here are the safest cars according to this authoritative source, the IIHS. You don't want to trust the car dealer, that's fine. Trust the IIHS. You can look at their list right here, I linked to it. And here's what we have in our inventory. So here's kind of the results on this. Oops. Published 3 months ago. I wish I could say I was on page 1. I'm on page 2 and we're climbing. Now, to me, this is more exciting than being on page 1 for GMD's pull ahead. Because there's a lot more people in Michigan searching related phrases to this. So almost 2,000 monthly searches, people looking for used cars for teens. Okay, and that's the source there. And you can't see it. I wish you could. So we're on page 2. There's 1.4 million articles that meet this search. I'll take page 2 for right now. When I published this, we were on page, couldn't find it. Check back 5 days later, we're on page 20. Check back 5 days later, we're on page 11. 5 days later, we're on page 7. 5, 4, 3, 2. We're getting there. Getting there. All right. 1,326 page views in 2 months. 303 clicks to view our inventory directly. Our inventory. And now, once again, look who we're playing with. I can't even read that. Maybe I can see it over here. Auto Trader. Edmunds. Other people. Edmunds, USA Today, CBS News, Auto Trader. All these people were covering this real big deal article. And so if this was a neighborhood, right? Think of a subdivision, real fancy. You guys, fancy subdivision. Gated. 1 minute. Thanks, bro. I'm almost done. Wow. This actually worked out. Right? Thank you. Giddy, right? Gated community. Gated community. If you had a house in that community, you would step out on your porch with your coffee and be like, heck yeah, this is looking pretty good. I need it in this world, right? And that's how I feel about this result right now. It's not page 1. We'll get there maybe. But if we don't, to be on page 2 with these established brands, with these established domains that Google has decided are authoritative and is putting us in there, say you can move right into this neighborhood, familydealblog.com. Welcome to the neighborhood. I'm in. I'll take that all day long. And so like I said, I've got you guys covered. This is real deal stuff. You can do it too. You need time. You need intention. You need dedication. More preparation, more dedication than anything you've probably ever done, but it's worth it. Believe me, if you listen to Rand last night and everything they've been talking about, how the paradigm's changing, how somebody needs to break the current system, to me, this is the way to break it. This is the way to get there, to establish yourself, to get people off those third-party sites and onto your sites. So you got the launch worksheet that I talked about. You'll have this presentation. You have blogging resources. I got editorial calendars. I've got a year's worth of content idea thought starters. So at worst, you don't have to think anything for a year. I recommend you do, because then we'd all be doing the same thing, and then that would go back to the thing I told you not to do. Headline suggestions, how to get more clicks on social media. Just a real big resource pack that tells you how to do it. MarketPunch.com/DSES2014. Do me one favor. You might see a pop-up that says put in your email address. Don't feel like you have to put in your email address to receive notifications from me. But that might pop up. If it does, feel free to close it out. All I ask, if you find this anything useful at all, send me a tweet, leave a comment on the page. Thanks, Jason, found it useful. Okay? That's all I'm really concerned about. If you have any questions about blogging to the future, let me know. That's what I do on my personal blog, is I just answer people's questions. 2 people ask me the same question. That's an article that I write. I'm writing for my audience, right? So that's it. Thank you. Don't forget to rate me.